Pathetic! I wouldn't even keep you as a game in my backlog. I despise this game. The game's not even loaded onto my console. I banished it to the Shadow Realm. The very thought of this game makes me sick. And now when it comes to mainline Pokemon games, I've had my fair share. I remember that fateful day on Christmas when my mother have gifted me Pokemon Y for that Christmas, and I fell in love with the Pokemon franchise ever since. And I mean, you see that on my console. I only have Scarlet and Fire Red, but I've played much more than that. Don't worry, they're just not all on the Switch console. I remember Pokemon Sword specifically. I had sold it with a bunch of other games, and with the money I had received, I bought this game, which I don't like that much. We'll get to you later, Mister. First of all, we'll have to talk about Pokemon Black. I want to do this in chronological order, although I did not get Pokemon Black first. Pokemon Black was like the second mainline Pokemon game I got. The first one I had gotten was Pokemon Y, and I loved Pokemon Y, and I still do love Pokemon Y. Pokemon Y is one of my favorite Pokemon games of all time, and it is very flawed. I know that Pokemon Y is trash compared to the other games. Really, arguably, the worst Pokemon game out of all the mainline Pokemon games, objectively. But it is still my favorite because it's the first one I played. Since it is the first one I play, therefore it is the best. So, Pokemon Y, Pokemon X and Y, they're good in my book. I mean, come on, they're still really cool. I mean, yeah, Mega Evolution, and also the fact that you could ride Pokemon throughout the regions. Although, to be fair though, you couldn't really ride them for that long. The Rhyhorn, you could only ride it for like one section of the route that led to like that cave where you first encountered Team Flare. And the Skidoo, you could only ride it for like one small area of the route, which absolutely sucked. It was cool at the time, but now looking back at it, it sucks. And oh man, Pokemon X and Y had so much potential. Apparently, there was a whole southern half of the region that never made it in the final game, and that sucks. I hate them. I will never forgive Game Freak for that. But it makes a little bit of sense when you consider the fact not only was it their first 3D game, 3D Pokemon game, but it was their first time releasing it internationally. Because usually, before X and Y, they would usually release it in Japan first, then internationally. But with X and Y, they wanted to release it internationally, on the go, really, as soon as possible. So, fine, but I still hate it. I still hate that X and Y are as unfinished as they were. It sucks. It really sucks. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Pokemon X and Y, literally everything sucked. The gym leaders, most of them suck. All of them suck, really. The second gym leader is not too bad, in my opinion. For that stage of the game, the second gym leader is not too bad. Karina, I remember having a lot of trouble with her as a kid, but looking back, no, Karina's fine. She's not that hard. Gym leaders suck. Wolfric is a terrible last gym leader. He himself admits that he might be a pushover. No, it's not that you might be a pushover. Wolfric, you are a pushover. Game Freak did you dirty. Elite Four, the Elite Four, trash. Although Cybold, the Water Elite Four, he can give you trouble if you let him set up multiple dragon dances. But come on, that's not going to happen. He's not too hard. Diantha, underwhelming champion. Really, all around X and Y, they're not that good games. But if you just want to blast through a game, I would say X and Y is perfect. I love X and Y, and I wish I still had a 3DS. It broke. If I still had a 3DS, I would probably be playing X and Y right now. I don't even know if I would be making this video. No, I'm just joking. But anyways, yeah, for X and Y, my favorite games, but I admit, and I can see that they are very, very flawed games, and arguably one of the worst Pokemon games of all time, at least when it comes to mainline. When it comes to spin-offs, well, I haven't really played many spin-off Pokemon games. You're not going to turn off on me. I haven't really played any spin-off Pokemon games, they've never really interested me. I did play like Mystery Dungeon, one Mystery Dungeon game. I think it was Super Mystery Dungeon on the 3DS. Yeah, I didn't. It didn't really interest me that much. And I don't know. Did I even play anymore? I guess Pokemon Rumble. We can ignore Pokemon Rumble. No one cares about that. Well, anyways, when it comes to Pokemon Black, I mean, there's not really anything for me to say. The game's just perfection. It's perfection. I got Pokemon Black and Pokemon Sun both on Christmas because I remember as a kid after playing Pokemon X and Y, I wanted to get Pokemon Black and I wanted to get Pokemon Sun. Pokemon Sun was the newest game coming out at the time, and Pokemon Black, it was a past game. I wanted to set out on a journey to play all Pokemon games. I'm telling you, I was obsessed with this franchise. So I ended up getting Pokemon Black and Pokemon Sun on Christmas. I actually got Pokemon Omega Ruby before that, but we'll talk about Omega Ruby later. But Pokemon Black, there's nothing really for me to say. Pokemon Black, amazing games. I love them. Story, amazing. Gym leaders, pretty tough. Um, Man, that Elite Four traumatized me. Like I kid you not, as a kid, I don't know how many times I replayed Pokemon Black just to beat the Elite Four. I was never able to. I did beat them once, and at one time I beat them, I never replayed the game because I was scared that if I ever reset the game, I would not be able to beat them again. If I had a DS, if I still had my 3DS, I would be replaying that. But of course, at the time when my 3DS was still intact, I was way too scared to replay it because I was not confident that I could beat them again. It took so much to beat them. When I was younger, I was used to Pokemon X and Y. I wasn't used to training each Pokemon individually. I was just used to playing with my starter Pokemon and then the rest of my Pokemon getting XP. But now I had to well juggle each of my Pokemon to switch training them. I wasn't used to that, and as a kid, I never understood that. When I grew a little older and replayed Pokemon Black, yeah, that's what I did, and eventually I was able to beat it. And then I was too scared to replay it, and my 3DS broke, so now I can never replay it. That's tough. I really hope they will release Pokemon Black on the Switch so that I can play it again. I might play the white version this time. I played Black because at the time I loved Reshiram's design, but now I love Zekrom's design. So if I had the choice, I'll probably play White right now. Never got to play the sequels. That's pretty sad. Pokemon Black, probably my favorite mainline Pokemon games, outside of Pokemon X and Y, of course. Now we've got Pokemon Sun. Pokemon Sun's alright. I don't remember much from Pokemon Sun. From what I remember of Pokemon Sun, it is very dialogue heavy or very story driven. And yes, Pokemon games are story driven, but Pokemon Sun does it in a way that's just exhausting. Like, I don't know, they just spam cutscenes everywhere. Maybe the Ultra games are better. I've never played the Ultra games, but the OG Sun and Moon, I don't know, man. Already it takes you like half an hour just to get your starters, and that will get even worse with Pokemon Scarlet. But I don't know, man. I always found it annoying, and after beating it for the first time, I could never like get to beating it again. Every time I replayed it, I could never get to the Pokemon League. Never. I always stopped beforehand. I just couldn't. I beat it once and then never beat it again. Now Pokemon Omega Ruby is a very interesting case. With Omega Ruby, as a kid, I kept on asking my mother, "Please, can I have this game? Please, can I have this game?" And she kept on saying, "Yeah, yeah, I'll get the game. I'll get the game." Every time she came home, she didn't have the game. Yeah, I was a little troublemaker as a kid. I wish I could go back in time and slap myself on the face. But anyways, I had as a kid. I figured I was 9 at the time. My mother already knows this. I took my mother's credit card and bought the game myself at 9 years old. I was a little brat. So I ended up getting Omega Ruby, and then literally, I don't remember whether it was the same day or literally the day later, I confessed. I wasn't a kid who was capable of keeping secrets. I always had to say everything to my mother, and I believe I still am like that, really. But anyways, don't you dare turn off on me. Anyways, so Omega Ruby, pretty good. Played it once, was never able to complete it again. So you're telling me I stole my mother's credit card just to play the game once and to never replay it again. But to be fair though, I did play it multiple times. I just was never able to complete it. It's the same situation as Pokemon Sun, but I did play Omega Ruby a little more than Sun though. But yeah, I was never able to complete it a second time. I completed it once, then never completed it again. Every time I replayed it, it was just, I don't know. It was just maybe up to the fourth, fifth gym leader, then stopped playing, lost interest, did something else. That's really how Pokemon Omega Ruby went. Now when it comes to Pokemon Sword, we're at Sword. When it comes to Pokemon Sword, now this might be a little bit of a hot take. I like Sword more than Scarlet. Now hold on. For me personally, when it comes to a Pokemon game, the most important thing for me is immersion in the world of Pokemon. I love the fact that each Pokemon game takes place in a different region, and I want to see like the differences in the regions for myself, their traditions, their people. I want to see it all. And with Sword and Shield, we kind of get to see that. With Scarlet and Violet, we don't. Scarlet and Violet is so empty, but we'll get to Scarlet and Violet later. Sword and Shield, I don't mind them at all. Story-wise, absolutely horrid. But the game itself, is alright. I don't hate Sword and Shield. They're fine. They're definitely not the best games. They're fine. I don't really have anything much to say about Sword and Shield. If I were to rank the Pokemon games, Black and White would be 10 out of 10. X and Y would be 10 out of 10. Although if we were to take a more objective ranking, X and Y would probably more so be a 3 out of 10. Or you know what? I would rather do this in tier list. A tier list style, Black and White would be S tier. X and Y, my subjective take on X and Y would be S tier, even though I admit that the games are more so C, D tier games. Sun and Moon, I don't know. I think I would put that in B tier. I think I would put Sun and Moon in B. And I think I would put Sword and Shield in B alongside it. I don't think they're bad games. Okay, I don't think Sword and Shield are that bad or as bad as people are making them out to be. The whole Dexit thing, sure. I never really cared that they didn't get all of the Pokemon inside of that game, even though they were more than capable of doing so. Even with the new Winds and Waves, honestly, in my opinion, I don't really care if we don't have every single Pokemon from Gen 1 to Gen 9 or 1000 inside the game. I don't really need that. I'm good, man. All we need is the new Gen 10 Pokemon, and at the very least, like half of the Pokemon from each generation before it, and we should be good. That's fine. At least that's fine for me. But I know there are people who want every single Pokemon. Yeah, sure, why not? And so Sun and Moon I would put in B. Sword and Shield I would also put it in B. Fire Red I would actually put in A. I actually liked Fire Red a lot. I played it recently because they re-released it on the Switch. Was able to play it. The whole controversy behind the price and everything, $20. I didn't really care. I never played the game. Bought it. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the Fire Red a lot, actually. It actually made me realize what I missed about Pokemon, the immersion in the world, the exploration. It's crazy how a game like this to me, has more exploration than Scarlet and Violet, the most recent mainline Pokemon game. Unless you count Legends ZA, which I call Legends trash. Unless you consider that mainline, we're gonna get back to that. We're gonna get back to that. But Fire Red, I like it. It's really cool. It's a really good remake. This is how you make a remake, Game Freak. This is how you make a remake. Then we have Pokemon Scarlet, saving the worst for last. I hate this game. I hate this game. I just can't feel immersed in the story. Yes, I don't. Yes, sure, fine. The characters are amazing. The gym leaders have personalities, fine. The Elite Four personalities, okay. There's Nimona, Raven, Penny. They're all cool characters. I love them. I love them. I truly do. I love them. But good characters does not make a good game. It makes even the stories. I don't know, man. The game. I don't like the game, and the good characters just don't make up for it. The good characters are like the cherry on top of a poop. Just because the dung has cherries on top of it does not make it better than what it is. It's still dung. This is still poop. It's garbage. It's trash. And me personally, why I hate these games so much. Well, first of all, I hate how people, whenever they criticize this game, only talk about the glitches. Stop only talking about the glitches. Because then, well, I mean, if glitches were your only problem with the game, fine. But if you have more problems with the game than the glitches, then stop just bringing up the glitches, because you're making people think that the only thing wrong with the game is the glitches, and that as soon as the glitches are fixed, the game's perfect. No, it's not. The glitches were never my problem with this game. Although I never really experienced the glitches, if I'm going to be honest. But for me, it was never really the glitches. For me, it was more so just the game. It was empty. You weren't able to go into houses. Oh yeah, but screw that. Going into houses doesn't really matter. It's more realistic if you can't go into houses. Fine. It's more realistic if you can't go into houses. Yeah, I guess, sure, fine. But I don't know, man. Going into houses and talking to the people, it helped me feel immersed into the world. Sometimes they had very interesting lore or funny things to talk to you about, and yes, sometimes they're just your tutorial Andes who are just there and you just tell you, oh yeah, if you use this on this Pokemon, then you'll do that, or if you use the potion on your Pokemon, it will heal your Pokemon. Yes, dumb ass, I know that already, but still, I can't really explain it. Going into houses was just for me, it just added to the immersion. That and the cities themselves. Even Fire Red, the cities weren't even that, they weren't even that developed. They were very, very lackluster, underwhelming cities, but they still felt more immersive than the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet cities. And I hate that. Scarlet and Violet had no landmarks. It was empty. It was empty. I hated it. There were no caves, no dungeons. Again, Fire Red, Leaf Green, the caves, the dungeons, they're all so cool. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, part of the problem is that there are no caves, no dungeons. There's one cave around southeast of Paldea, I believe. That leads to like the Psychic Gym Leader. That cave, okay, fine. It's kind of okay, whatever. Oh, plus my Switch is about to die. Fine. It's kind of good, but I don't know, bro. They're not. They're not cave. There are no caves, no dungeons. You can't go into houses. The cities are underwhelming. The whole world is just empty. If this is what open world Pokemon means, I would rather just go back to the linear Pokemon games like Fire Red, Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. If this is truly what open world Pokemon means, like yeah, the new catching mechanic is cool, but I don't know, man. I was just not a fan. I would personally put Scarlet and Violet C tier for sure. But putting it above X and Y is a crime. So I'll put it in F. And I'm just joking. I'll put it in C. X and Y themselves. My objective, an objective take of X and Y, I would probably put it in D or C. But Scarlet and Violet, yeah, C. I never really played the DLC for Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet because I don't know. I'm not really the type of person who buys DLC. I've never really bought DLC. I guess I bought like one DLC for like Dragon Ball Fighters for like more characters. I barely play that game, by the way. I mean, other than that, I've never really bought DLC. I've never been a DLC guy. Now, let's talk about this trash over here. So trash, I couldn't even keep it on this console. I had to ship it back to the Switch Lite. Where is it? Here we go. This thing. Pathetic game. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't see the appeal. I promise you, I just don't see why people like this. You can like what you like, love what you love. I couldn't get into this game. Pokemon Legends ZA, I don't know, it's the battle mechanic to me is just so repetitive, and Illumio City is just so uninteresting to explore. I don't know. I can't play a game just for a story alone. I need to feel immersed in its world, and the gameplay needs to be awesome. If none of those things are good, why even play a game? I just don't like Legends ZA. I haven't played Legends Arceus, but it looked like they were going in such a good direction with this Legends game, and they just had to screw it up with this. I just don't know. I can't see the appeal. If I'm gonna be honest, I can't see the appeal of this game. I don't know why people love it so much. Maybe it's really just people who care about the story more than the gameplay, or people who actually find the gameplay fun. You know what? That's fair. I just It's not for me. It's not for me. I find this game pathetic. It's so pathetic. It's not even worth being in my backlog. I had to ship it to my Switch Lite, to the Shadow Realm. Pretty much. I never play my Switch Lite ever since I got the Switch 2. I don't even play my Switch Lite anymore. It's been banished to the Shadow Realm. Damn. Legends EA. I don't know. I couldn't get into Legends EA. But are there any other Pokemon games I've played? I have played Super Mystery Dungeon, but in terms of mainline games, I haven't really played anything outside of what I've talked about. I would love to play Heart Gold Soul Silver. That's actually a game outside of Black and White. That was the game I wanted to play the most as a kid, and I ended up getting Black and White, but never ended up getting Heart Gold Soul Silver. That was the game I wanted to play the most outside of Black and White, because it was the only game where you could actually traverse two regions. I found that so cool as a kid. And yeah, Kanto might not be as developed as Johto is, but I don't know. It still looks fun. You get the only a game where you get 16 badges. I've heard that there's like a level curve and everything. That sucks. But I can't wait for Heart Gold Soul Silver to be re-released on the Switch so that I could give it a try and see what I think about it. But, well, but for now, that's all I have to say about the mainline Pokemon games.